Hello, welcome to the Footnotes of Lemon Library Part A. This is just kind of a after main video. If you for some reason haven't seen the main video, it's an hour and 32 minutes long, but I think that it's pretty enjoyable, at least from the people that I have heard have seen it. So go watch that first. This is just kind of going to be going into a little bit more of the objective and like what I've been trying to do with this project in general, what it started out as and what it kind of turned into, as well as the future. So enjoy that. Just a little quick thing. I'll put on some in the background and just have a little chat. Could also respond to comments, in the footnotes. So I'll be looking at those. So when I first started out to get this project, it was a part of a yearly theme of creation. So I just wanted to be able to create, more cool things. Something that I really liked, something that I kind of slacked off on a little bit in 2023. I usually use Dungeons and Dragons as my creative outlet. Over time, that became a little bit more of a burden to do. I might have gotten burnt out on it. I still really like the game and I love the group that I play with, multiple groups now. That was just something that I was looking more into, so I've always wanted to, put more stuff onto the YouTubes or stream on Twitch, but I knew that I wanted to kind of have something defining, as something a little bit more personal than just starting to upload a Let's Plays and stuff like that. I think you could see that with the different kinds of ways that I talk about the games in the list, because at first it was me playing the games that I've never heard of. Atex Cybernetic, Archangel Hellfire, even Accounting and Arcana Hard 3, those are games that I've never heard of. I've just never seen anything, so I wanted to be able to gauge a sort of reaction. Same with Arma Cold War Assault. It's an Arma game, it's an older one, but I never actually got into it, so I thought that was an interesting thing, right? Originally, when I was planning on creating content, I wanted to be a little bit more consistent, so I thought, I like the idea of me playing both pretty obscure games, but also really grinding out some more popular games. I wouldn't say that they're 100% more popular, but the games that I kind of mainly been playing nowadays is Rainbow Six Siege, and played a bit of Baldur's Gate, but not a whole lot. You'll see more of that pretty soon. But I've been playing Street Fighter 6 when it came out, or Tekken 8. So I still get excited and hyped up with the media cycle for a lot of games. Not so much things there's a lot of first person fantasy games that I saw the Game Awards. I'm not really in that audience. I don't really care for Hogwarts Legacy. If you like those, then sure, great. Basically, I wanted it to still have my sense of branding, and I'm maybe some sort of self-analysis here. If I purchased them on Steam at one point, or got them in some sort of humble bundle, then at one point, it's at least a little bit interesting to me. So surely I can make a video or even a segment of a video about it. And when I am kind of trying to ease people into the fact this one's really long, I really like the idea of picturing it as 20 different videos in one. I thought that was awesome, instead of having one video that is kind of a open and shut product, but it still kind of is, I feel, because there are some times where I reference other games into it, but that's mainly games of the same series. I talked about Arma 2 while I was playing Arma 3 or something like that, But yeah, I think that in general, I'm pretty satisfied. I don't really want to discount one or be Arma 2 is just oh, it's Arma 2, Arma 2, right? We can kind of move on. I don't really want to do things like that, as I've been recommended to in order to cut back on the length of things. I'm a bit curious about how people feel about how long it is. It is one of the things I'm a little bit more conscious of, but honestly, I'm not super opposed to people just watching it in general, but I'm also not opposed to people skipping around to sections if they want, or I can just skip this chapter. And if people know that, they can see the 10-minute Arma Cold War section and be oh well, okay, I don't really need to see this anymore, and they can move on to the next one, or they can click out of the video. I'm not really trying to do things like generate views, but I do like the idea of entertaining people. I think that's like something different, right? I'm not trying to like build a successful platform. I think it's great if, you know, a lot of people see it. And obviously, you know, metrics and things like that, that's part of it. But this is like one of the first things where I told myself when I was making this, no, I'm not worried about building like big numbers or anything like that, because for one, I don't think you can really force that. You know, you can set yourself up, I understand, by like having consistent upload schedule every week, every 2 weeks, and that sort of thing. But I also know that there's, you know, once you kind of get something going and people like it and they want to watch it, then I mean, like, it's really all you should care about. It's like the people that are watching your things, you know? You want to give them some more things to watch, that's great. If you don't want to give them more things to watch, then that's fine. So unfortunately, there's a caveat here that if I don't feel like making the stuff, I'm not gonna do it. Now, I'm committed to making more things. You know, Part B is something that I'm very well aware of and I'm very excited to do, but honestly, I don't know if I will be able to say the same thing about P or, you know, R, you know, like when you get further down the alphabet. Is this idea gonna stick? Maybe it's the thing that I post and then I have shorter things like this to intersperse. That is kind of just something that I just wanted to do rather than an actual formal project, so to speak. So let's talk more about the project, actually. So I determined this theme of creation. This is about, I think, in like November of last year is when I had this idea and I was like kind of thinking, gosh, what could I do? And YouTube has been something that's pretty consistent. A lot of my friends have, honestly, they've been making like YouTube videos and stuff like that, and ever since I was like a kid, I've always wanted to have like a YouTube channel. It used to be like really crappy animations that I'm gonna give you the liberty and not put them on here, but I think that that's pretty normal for a kid that grew up at the time that I did. But when it comes to like the video idea itself originally, is actually just going to be almost like I thought of the bottom two and the top two. So for this video, it would have been, I guess, Atex Cybernetic. It probably would have been more Alien Hominid HD. I think that Archangel Hellfire, that section unfortunately kind of got pretty boring. I would have had to have found somebody to play with me, and I'm not about to resurrect the Archangel Hellfire demons in order to find someone who's probably like really good at that game to like play with me. And then it would have been the last two, which would have been Ark Survival Evolved and Among Us. But, you know, I just felt like even then that was kind of cheaping things out a little bit. It could have been that I committed to like a more formal kind of channel where, you know, maybe I have like a week of A's where like I'll play A games for like 5 days and I'll like have like the highlights. I also just really like the idea though in general of just having this sort of personal experience. It was really fun to like just download all the games and kind of check them off the list. Like, yep, I recorded Atomic Crops today. What's next? Okay, let's go into Arma 2 now, you know? I only played the games for about like 20 minutes, which in retrospect was way too long. But at the same time, I wanted to give them a fair shot, and that's just kind of what happened to it. Some of them had a gag. You know, we had like the Holy Mob thing with Ark Survival of the Fittest, which I thought was really funny. So I want to have like the opportunity, right, to make things more substantial. When I'm making content, you know, obviously you pull from people that you kind of watch, and I think Habby, he does a lot of VR stuff. He's kind of someone whose style I kind of notably imitated, where it shifts between commentary and live commentary, but it's kind of his whole channel, I think, he's described it as like what I played last week, which, you know, I like that a lot, actually. It's just kind of like a nice way to make your kind of stamp on your YouTube channel. Just like, oh, well, you know, like I already did this. I'm just like gonna record myself doing it this time. Like one of the biggest things I learned recording for this was that when I am doing live commentary, I need to just shut up. I know that one of my favorite moments from the video was actually live commentary and like my reaction to something.
Whoa, what? Oh.
You kind of have a reaction, you know. If it's a game that you've never played before, you want to document your experience with it. And at that point, you know, you kind of play like a Let's Player, you know, you make funny voices, I guess, but that just kind of made like reflecting and talking over it via commentary a lot harder. So I might have to strike a balance with that. I'm not actually sure yet, but if it was a game that I already knew, like Awesomenauts, that was also difficult because in general, while I was playing it, I was so excited. I was just talking about like all the things that I used to do, like kind of reminiscing and having nostalgia. And, you know, that's fine. I just know that, especially for future videos, that there's a lot of things that I can do while I'm recording in order to make the editing of myself a lot easier. Part of that is audio, actually. So the audio, I understand, at least I feel this way, and maybe it's just because I made it and so I kind of like can recognize it, but I definitely feel like there were a lot of parts that had very uneven audio. And part of that is because my headset's just been acting up. Like, that is what it is, unfortunately. I felt like that would be the most consistent if the mic's, you know, always in the same spot. But over time, especially for the commentary, I had to switch to my desk mic, which, you know, just means that things sound weird and your mic can be at different places on your desk. And I'm a bit of an amateur, okay? So I kind of gave myself like a rain check, you know, on like having perfect audio, but it's definitely something that I want to do better at. Last, I know that people have wanted me to kind of rank through the games of how much I like them versus how much I didn't like them. I think it's pretty evident in the video, all things considered. I could perhaps make a follow-up, like a footnote, to just rank them really quick. Just in general, though, I'd say a lot of the times the VR games were fun. I just think that VR is fun in general. I can understand why they weren't that popular. Like, sometimes you're just introspecting and you're like, why do I have like so many Arma games? And I just remember, you know, people in high school that I would, and they would all play Arma, and like maybe I got them all on sale or something like that. Why do I have Ark Survival Evolved? You know, that was a style of game that I must have really liked back in the day, and a lot of people do nowadays, especially, you know, like Wicked Pow World. It's basically the recipe for success. It's Pokemon mixed with survival craft. You really can't beat that, like, honestly. So there isn't really a whole lot that I can do. I was pleasantly surprised with Arma Cold War Assault. I kind of mentioned that in the video. I got into like Arma 2 and Arma 3 and I was like, gosh, no, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. What else is there? Games that I was pretty excited about going into it, like Atomic Crops and Awesomenauts, were obviously pretty good. Even Ace Sprite. I mean, I like Ace Sprite a lot. Ace Combat 7, I was pretty excited about as well. That game's really fun. American Truck Simulator, even. I've had a lot of fun just kind of driving around in that one. Even though that was one that I had to record like 3 times. But ones that I weren't excited about were actually probably the top 3. And I did those last, so I don't know whether or not it was the fact that I did the 3 most popular games last, and maybe I was just tired of it, and I wanted to be done. But definitely Among Us, man. That is a game that I really was expecting more out of. Ark is the same way. Arma 3, I had already played the other Armas before that, so it might be interesting to just do things in a different order. I don't know. I think that's really all that I wanted to say about, you know, the A video. In terms of like what's coming up, I look at the B list and it's pretty intimidating to me as someone that, you know, had the project. And I started recording these in, again, like mid-December, and I'd finished recording them by like the 1st of January, and obviously I released it like after 3 weeks. So I mean, I think that's a pretty big turnaround time. Hopefully now, you know, there's a lot of things that I made a template, so it would make the editing phase a lot faster, and I also will probably have some best practices, like to separate my audio recordings for the capture of all the games. So like I'll capture the game and the game's audio, probably in OBS, and then I'll just have an external recording of my comments, so that way it would be a lot easier for me to mix the audio from stuff, because that was a huge thing, was going through the audio. I like editing too. Like, I like having the little pop-ins and, you know, the zoom-ins that are pretty funny. There's some sound effects. I could probably do more with sound effects. I know that, you know, you can kind of get really carried away with those, so I won't say that I'm gonna overly edit, but I think that that's just kind of a natural thing that happens as you find things that work, is that you want to try different ideas, so hopefully we can get to that. But yeah, the B games, let me just kind of record my expectations here, I guess, even though this is a footnote for A, whatever, it's my video. So here's B, it's like a little sneak peek, it's like a thanks. Baba is you, Baldur's Gate. So I know that, you know, people are really wanting to see Baldur's Gate, and I like Baldur's Gate. I feel like I have a good amount of things to say about it. I don't really know if I want to do things like review the games. I think I kind of did. It's just going to be like however I react to it, whether it's like a nostalgia trip or judging the game, or, you know, maybe being a little bit more like thoughtful about how I provide commentary on it. You got things like BattleBit's in there. Got a couple of like other good ones. There's still some VR. There's also some co-op games and things like that, but Mainly, we got the Battlefield franchise that's gonna be on here. We got BioShock that's on here. We got Borderlands. So there's a lot. There's even Bully. Oh, and don't forget Boring Man. In Blockland. So don't worry. There's still some like wild cards on there. Oh yeah, that's. I think I'm gonna hush up now. It's kind of a neat little sneak peek. That's really it, I think. I appreciate all the support, honestly. I know that I look at the views and, you know, I'm pretty proud, actually. I think as I'm recording this, we're at like 122, which, hey, I'm cool. If it can get up to the level as maybe as the like MCU tier list, I know that it's probably not as approachable as that because, you know, a lot of people have seen Marvel movies or they know Marvel movies, and obviously Marvel movies are a little bit more cohesive than every video game I own. But here we are. We're through A now, so well, that's like 4%. If there be, it'll be like 8% on the way done. So I'd say that's a win. Thanks for watching. You know, I honestly, my main thing, like legitimately, is just watching the video is plenty. If you want to share it to your friends on Discord, that's great. My main thing is like the subscribe button's probably pretty important because again, I don't really like plan to have like a upload thing. So if you press subscribe and you ring the bell, that usually works for me in terms of making sure I keep up with all my friends' stuff. But that's only if you want to. I mean, again, I'm not really, this is more of like a personal project. Not really like a quest for internet stardom. If something comes out of that, then that's great. But otherwise, just kind of enjoy. I'm still gonna be, you know, chilling out. Oh, I got a Discord. If you want to join the Discord, you can. I think that I don't expect a whole lot of people to just be hanging out in there, but if you want to, that's fine. I'll just be uploading like announcements, or you can, you know, talk about videos there. But yeah, there's a lot of sounds on the soundboard because that's how I troll my friends using Discord Nitro. So you got that to enjoy. I'll put a link there in the description, as well as like music and stuff. Okay, now I'm actually done. So next time you see me, I probably have 35 B games to talk about. Again, I'll try to keep it relatively condensed, but if that's not what happens, then that's fine. You might have like a 2-hour video next time. Or I might release them in parts, like part 1, part 2. It'd be more like a library. It'd be like BA to like BO or something like that. I don't know. If anyone has any ideas on how they would like that, I kind of like just having everything out in one package. It was pretty satisfying for me, but it also got a little stressful. So if there is any preference on like how people wanted that broken out, then just let me know. All right, I think I tried to end this video like 3 times already. So this time I'm just gonna hit stop recording. So enjoy.